mutant! Kill the mutant! Purge the unclean! Against all the evil that hell can conjure, all the wickedness that mankind can produce, we will send unto them only you. Rip and tear until it is done.
Boltgun is a game that I really wasn't totally aware of. Even as a matter of fact, the day it was coming out, I didn't really hear that much about it, but my brother told me to play it. I'm not the biggest Warhammer fan, but he was like, Camber, you gotta hop on this shit. I got on it, and then this happened. So I feel it's only right for me to talk about it, and at least, because it is a really good game, and I had a bunch of fun playing it. It is developed by Auroch Digital. A pretty good game company. They have other titles such as Brewmaster, I believe, that are pretty solid. And the approach they took to making this game was honestly very impressive in terms of voice acting, game design, gameplay, art style. The art style goes so hard, and I wanted to talk about it. So join me on this journey to purge some heretics and fight for the Emperor. So thank you, and please subscribe if you haven't already. My name is Cambrodia, and welcome to the channel. So the story is pretty light. It's kind of what you'd expect for a game of this caliber. You know, it's like a boomer shooter story. That's not to say it's bad at all, though. It's still really good. So you are a space marine, specifically named Malum Kaido. He's this Giga Chad you see right here. This dude's fucking sick. You are informed that there is a power fragment that is erupting a massive amount of energy and has opened a gateway to the warp, causing chaos to come out and corrupting a forge world named Graia. You are told that you may face opposition on the way there, and any person that you may face is assumed to be tainted by the warp. And this is directly from the game. In quotations, you are supposed to suffer not the heretic to live, which that is the most metal shit I've ever heard, and I love it. So, after you're informed about this, you are sent in a pod to go to the Forge World to find out where the power fragment is. And you are, then cuts to gameplay, and you realize that all of your other Space Marines in your unit have died because the pod crashed into the world, the Forge World. And now you are essentially a one-man army taking on all of the entities from the warp and chaos coming at you. You have Chaos Space Marines, Chaos Terminators, Pink Horrors, Blue Horrors, Flamer. You name it, it's coming after you. Now, Malum Kaido, again, this Giga Chad, is a Stern Guard veteran, meaning that he was a part of the first elite company in the Imperium of Man of Space Marines, which, he's seen some shit. He's probably, honestly, under that helmet, he's probably kind of old and gray, which is kind of badass, and I love it. So, while it's not necessarily believable that he could do all of this, it's like the John Wick theorem, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's just a badass old man, so he can, and I like that, and I enjoyed it. Another topic that I wanted to touch on is the way that this game brilliantly implements the lore from the Warhammer universe into the game's gameplay itself. You can tell that Auroch Digital genuinely does love Warhammer, and they play it, because as I'm playing it, I'm learning so much about the Warhammer universe, not only from the story and the cutscenes, but from the actual gameplay. For example, one of the secrets that you can find, the Spirit of the Omnissiah. It buffs your gun. You get to it, it kind of like illuminates your weapon with this green aura. I didn't know what that was. I looked it up, and you figure out that that is essentially the Adeptus Mechanicus' god, and it lives within every single machine. And it's not only with these secrets as well, it's also with the general enemies. I didn't really know what the warp was. I didn't know what the demon lords were. I didn't know who Korn was. I didn't know who Slanesh was. I didn't know who Sneech was. I didn't know who Nurgle was. After playing this game and learning about it, you can tell that the developers really do care about the lore behind this universe, and they do want to reinforce it here. If you do genuinely enjoy the books and the backstory and lore of the 40k universe, you should play this game. Just because the enemies have immense amount of respect paid towards them and their backstory, and so do the Space Marines in just every aspect of this game. Overall, I think that the story is completely fleshed out as much as it needs to be, because it's not really supposed to be the center shining piece of this game. The center shining piece of this game really is just supposed to be the gameplay itself, and that's the thing that I really want to get to. Story is wonderful. I had a great time playing it. It lasted me around 8 to 9 hours, but that was with me kind of trying to find the secrets and kind of just taking my time, really enjoying the game. So let's move on to the gameplay. The gameplay is so smooth that for a game that is made to look like it is from the late 80s or early 90s, it is surprisingly modern and has an immense amount of flow to it that makes it incredibly fun to play. It takes heavy inspirations from games such as Doom and the earlier Quakes, not only from the art style, but from the combat as well. If you've ever played Doom Eternal or Doom 2016, where you were given a big arsenal, but it is kind of dropped to you paced throughout the game, as well as these more complex enemies that are also dropped to you throughout the game. It's the same kind of formula here, and it's done very well. The enemies are a pretty good balance of ranged enemies and close-up enemies. You start out with these kind of light cultists that you can just kind of beat the shit out of, and they can't really do anything because you're a Space Marine. And then you'll get kind of Chaos Space Marines thrown at you, Nurglings, Pink Horrors, Flamers, Chaos Terminators, and it really does add up for a hectic experience. But you'll also get better weapons, such as the Vengeance Launcher, Heavy Bolter, Plasma Gun, Melt-A-Gun, and the Grav Cannon, as well as the Chainsword and the Shotgun. And I kind of wanted to go over these because these are kind of the centerpiece of the game, the arsenal that you have, and it's definitely worth going over because it's a great arsenal and it's super fun to play with. Up first, we have the Relic Bolter. This is your standard gun for most of the game. It serves as a medium damage, medium range, and medium fire rate, and it's kind of just okay at everything. There's by no means a weak weapon, but it's kind of your jack of all trades. If you're out of ammo, you can use it, and it'll definitely serve its purpose. You can tell that it's kind of the main gun of the game because Malum Kaido's holding it in the literal poster for the game. Next up is a shotgun. I mean, it's a shotgun. It's meant for getting up close and personal with the enemies and getting all of your bullets into them, and it does a good amount of damage on some of the higher tier enemies, such as the Plague Toad or the Chaos Space Marine. But near the end of the game, it kind of feels lackluster, and I feel like there's just a lot of better substitutes for it. It has a very short range, it has pretty good damage, and a very slow fire rate. Next up, we got one of my favorites, the Plasma Gun. Dude, the Plasma Gun deals such a good amount of damage, and yes, it does have a slower fire rate, and it doesn't nearly have as much ammo, but it is so good at taking out some of those stronger enemies from afar, such as the Flamers, or the Terminators, or the Plague Toads, or whatever really you need. If you're in a sticky situation and you don't have a lot of ammo for the powerful weapons in your arsenal, the Plasma Gun is a very good medium to kind of rely on, and it helps out a lot. Now, along with dealing a lot of damage, it also does splash damage, which is huge for whenever you have to fight a lot of Nurglings or Blue Horrors. You can kill multiple of them at once, and that helps out so much. Next, we got the Heavy Bolter, also known as the coolest thing in the entire game. Your Heavy Bolter does more damage than your average bolter, but you don't have to reload, and it has a maximum capacity of 250 rounds, so you can just set up somewhere and just fucking go to town and just start pounding, tearing through demons as you go on. And it's so good for clearing out the Screamers of Nietzsche, or if you're on an overlook over the entire level, dude, you can just go to town, and it does good damage. It has an incredible fire rate, and the range on it is pretty good. So even if they're far away, you'll still be able to hit them and melt them. Next one up is the Vengeance Launcher, and it travels much quicker than the plasma gun while still maintaining that effective splash damage, making it very good for killing Nurgles and blue and pink horrors. This one I feel like is meant to be used more of like an in and out gun. You kind of peek, shoot it, kill a bunch of enemies, go back, reload, peek out again, shoot a couple enemies, go back. And it's kind of just meant for being super fast, getting in and out, taking out multiple guys at once. It doesn't have the best magazine size, but it's fairly good against higher tier enemies. The Volkite Caliber is a very good gun. It's almost just a test of your aim. It's a tracking weapon. It's very precise. It has infinite range. You do have to reload it though, and that does kind of like take away from the gun just because it is annoying how often you have to reload it. The ammo for it is here and there. I didn't really use it much of my playthrough, if I'm being honest. I just preferred some of the other weapons. But I definitely had a lot of fun using it, and I do think it is a valuable asset, and it does really work against those higher tier enemies as long as you can track them down right. And then we got the Melta Gun, also like one of my favorite things in this game. It's obviously meant for close range, and it shoots superheated air that deals like fucking crazy amounts of damage. And it's just this ring that can go through multiple enemies, so you'll be in a hallway that's clustered with enemies and shoot it, and they're just gone. It does run very low on ammo very quickly. You don't have a lot of ammo reserved for it to balance out how strong it is. But my god, this gun is a blast to use. And then the Grav Cannon is like your obligatory boomer shooter gun that you just point it at things and they disappear off of your screen. Wherever you shoot it, it alters the gravity fields and just tears things apart and just fucks them up. Doesn't matter what it is, you point it at them, they're gonna die pretty quickly. And it's so much fun to use. Obviously, the ammo for it's very hard to find. It's like the Volkite Caliber, where it is a tracing weapon or tracking weapon. It really doesn't have any bloom or spray. It's just how well can you keep your crosshair on the enemy. It has infinite range. The weapons as well as the combat specifically are where this game shines. The weapons and the enemies themselves are very well thought out, and each serves a different purpose, allowing the player to identify when and to use certain weapons. I think that the arsenal that you're given is amazing. I think that the enemy's look is awesome, but I do feel like it drops off kind of after the 4 to 5 hour mark. I feel like there's really no new enemies introduced or no new weapons introduced, and it's kind of a slog. That's not to say I didn't have fun at all. I had a great time. I just wish that there was more, and I was expecting more, and more never really came. If you added like a progression system or like some way to upgrade your guns, that would be awesome. But no game is perfect, and I understand that, and I still had a blast playing through it. I just do wish that if we had the option to upgrade our guns, such as the shotgun, because I didn't really use it for the last 2 hours of the playthrough. Not because I didn't want to, but because I just had better substitutes. The only time that I really used it was whenever I was out of ammo. I do think Auroch Digital has a great formula here, and I think that they really did slam this one and just knock it out of the park. And I do really want them to keep making Warhammer games as a whole, because you can just tell that they care about this universe and that they play this game and that they make it with the intention of just really bringing it to life. Overall, I think the gameplay is awesome. I just wish that it was maybe a little bit more fleshed out for the last 2 hours, and maybe there's a progression system. But either way, I had a blast, and I would recommend this game to anyone. You can tell there was a lot of heart poured into this project, and it feels very polished and nice to play. The art style is incredible for this game, especially the landscapes that you go through and the backdrops. I'm a sucker for really cool backdrops and dioramas, and Auroch Digital did really nail the gothic feel of the universe in every level of this game. Every level has a distinct soundtrack and a distinct feel, and I just love the animations of all of the guns. They just feel so good, even though they are pixelated and they're kind of choppy on purpose. I am addicted to the way that some of the animations look. It just itches that part of my brain. Not to mention the menu music, which has been going on this entire video. I'm not sure if you noticed. It's been in the background the whole time. Another thing that I wanted to go over was the voice actor for Malleum Kaido. He did a wonderful job, and I love every time he delivers a voice line and just how many there are. He's a huge fan of Warhammer as well, so it makes sense why they picked him. Warrock Digital actually posted a article saying that they feel like they wasted his talent, but they did love his performance and they definitely want to see him on a future project, which they did kind of hint at a DLC near the end of the game. So I would love to see him back, but he did a wonderful, wonderful job. This game has totally piqued my interest in the Warhammer universe just because of how much love and care is put into it, and you can tell that so many people love this. And so I've already ordered my first copy of Horus Rising on its way to read it and enjoy it, just so that I can totally seep into the universe and get all nerdy about it. And I do want to start playing the tabletop game and maybe build my own army. I think that would be a blast. But if you haven't played this game, I highly encourage you to do so and go have a good time on it and have some blistering fast gameplay and kill some goddamn demons in the name of the Emperor. But other than that, I think that's all that I have for you. Have a good rest of your day. My name's Cambrodia. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, that would mean a lot to me. And yeah, see you guys later.